Alright guys, welcome back. This is part 6 of my top 100 favorite movies of all time for my 100 subscriber special. Of course, I'm wearing a different shirt once again. I'm filming this on a different day. Just like some of the other parts of this, I'm shooting a couple, like, I did two of them on one day, then I did one another day, and then another day, and things like that. So that's why you see different shirts. Because I usually, always see me in the same shirt, and almost, sometimes in almost every video. That's because I film multiple videos during one day. But, taking some time to, do this list, so it's been pretty much different shirts pretty much every video. But enough with that. Let's get on to where we left off at. So, number 43. Trespass, an underrated gem from the 90s with Bill Paxton, Ice-T, William Sadler, and Ice Cube, where you basically have two firemen looking for gold, and one thing leads to another. They witness a murder by a gang, and then they get trapped in there. I mean, it's a really entertaining movie. A lot of really fun action. It's got some good thrills in there. Directed by Walter Hill, but easily an underrated gem from the 90s. So, love Trespass. Number 42, Labyrinth. Easily one of my favorite films from the 80s. The late great David Bowie. I miss David Bowie a lot. I can't believe it's been 3 years since David Bowie passed away. It's hard to believe that. But Jennifer Connelly, directed by doesn't say. I don't know who directed this, but sure, Jim Henson. Yeah, Jim Henson. Yeah, Jim Henson. This is it's directed by Jim Henson, of course known for the Muppets, and I kind of miss movies like this too, where with all the puppetry work, and the puppetry in this is really well done. Really well done puppetry, kind of like Meet the Feebles, really good puppetry, good puppet work, kind of like in this movie too. I kind of miss movies like that, with puppets, because the puppets in this were really, really well done. I think the effects are pretty good, especially on the puppets themselves. David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly. It's a really magical film. It's a really cool movie, and it's a film that I grew up with watching as a kid. Love Labyrinth, and this is actually the recent 30th anniversary edition, which is the Digibook version. It's a really nice version of the movie. Number 41, I do have, but it was kind of a pain to get out, but I'll just mention it. I reviewed the film already as well, so if you want to go see more of a detailed review, go check out that review. But Falling Down with Michael Douglas, easily my favorite film with Michael Douglas, and also my favorite film directed by Joel Schumacher. But I talked more about that when I did my in-depth review of the film, so you can go check out that review if you want to see more details about the film. But I love Falling Down. Number 40. It's part of this 3-pack, but I'm going to show it for just this movie up here. Behind Enemy Lines is easily my number 40. Behind Enemy Lines is always one of those films that I thought was always critically acclaimed for the longest time, and it gets crapped on a lot. I don't understand why, and I really do think, though, truthfully, that it is the only good film John Moore directed, because everything else, I mean, John Moore, I was not a fan of the Omen remake. That was pretty much just a carbon copy of the original scene for scene, and just like the Psycho remake, there was nothing to the remake of the Omen. Wasn't a fan of that. I really did not like Max Payne, the Max Payne movie he did. I thought that was just straight up garbage. I feel like this is, and didn't he also do Flight of the Phoenix? I could be wrong on that, but if that's the case, I wasn't a fan of that either. But Behind Enemy Lines is easily his best movie. Gene Hackman and Owen Wilson in the movie, where basically it's about Owen Wilson is a U.S. Navy pilot in Bosnia, and there's like this mission to save him and things like that. It's a really well done movie, and one of the very first. I'd probably say, I really do enjoy Owen Wilson in comedy, like Wedding Crashers. I'd probably say this is my favorite Owen Wilson film, Behind Enemy Lines. I really do. I really like drama-wise, it'll be this one. For comedy-wise, it'll probably be Wedding Crashers for my favorite, like, 2 Owen Wilson roles. But, I think Behind Enemy Lines is a great one. Number 39, I have the Blu-ray Steelbook of this, but it was kind of a pain to get out, but I'll mention it. The Dark Knight. What more can I say about The Dark Knight? Number 38, I also do have, but it's kind of a pain because it's like in this like little corner of my closet, and I didn't want to like pull it out and like, because it's a digibook, and I didn't want to get it ruined. But I'll just mention it. Number 38 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, the Ultimate Cut, the 3-hour version, the one that was the R-rated cut. I feel like this film is so underrated. I know me and Rob are big fans of the movie. I know Alex isn't much of a fan of the movie, but I feel like this film is underrated. Ben Affleck is Batman. I'm one of the only few that like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, but you really gotta figure out like. Lex Luthor in some of like the younger Lex Luthor in the comics was like the way Jesse Eisenberg was in the movie, and I feel like that worked out really well. I mean, I think Amy Adams is fine. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. And I actually had the great pleasure of seeing this back before it was released on Blu-ray back in 2016. I remember. Going to an early screening of the Ultimate Edition before it was released on Blu-ray, and that was a treat to see that. It was like a little small theater, and it was a great experience. It was a wonderful experience seeing the Ultimate Cut before anybody else in the theater, so that was really cool. Really great experience. But I love the movie. If I ever do, like, I know me and Alex and Robert are thinking about doing a DCEU live stream at some point. I'll save my thoughts for more of the movie when we do that. But I mentioned it in my top 100 favorite movies. So, number 37, Speed. Easily my favorite Keanu Reeves movie. This is just a really great movie, great action movie, really great Die Hard kind of like movie. Keanu Reeves, the late great Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Daniels. Directed by Jan de Bont, who is mainly known for a director of photography on a lot of movies. And then, of course, what's a shame about Jan de Bont, though, is that he did this film. This was his directorial debut, and this was a blast to watch. This was a phenomenon when it came out, because no one was expecting this film to be a big hit. Like, Keanu Reeves is an action star, really? Like, granted, he did Point Break, but really, the guy from Bill and Ted and Jan de Bont, like, who's this guy? And who's Sandra Bullock? Like, no one really knew, and this film became a phenomenon. And what's a shame is, then Jan de Bont went on to do Twister, which I also enjoy. But then after that, then he did Speed 2, then he did Lara Croft Tomb Raider 2, and just... I actually did not mind the remake of The Haunting, but it's nowhere near as good as, like, Speed or Twister. But Speed is great. Dennis Hopper's a very entertaining villain. I like Keanu Reeves as a great hero and things like that. I mean, just a really... What more can I say about Speed? It's a badass movie. Love Speed. Number 36. Sudden Death. One of my personal favorite Van Damme films, where it's basically Die Hard in a hockey rink, and Powers Booth, the late great Powers Booth, is your villain. Directed by Peter Hyams. Once again, I know Peter Hyams. I've mentioned a lot of his films on my top 100 list. He's easily one of my favorite directors, and this is another one that I really do enjoy. Love Sudden Death. Number 35, speaking of Van Damme, and Van Damme and Peter Hyams, Time Cop, which they worked on before Sudden Death. I'd probably say this is my favorite Van Damme film. I love Time Cop. Mia Sara from Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the love interest. Ron Silver is the villain. And once again, this was Van Damme's most successful movie. And, just a really fun movie. Once again, Peter Hyams, another great job directing this. But love Time Cop. Number 34, The Fugitive. Easily my favorite Harrison Ford film. I mean, what more can I say about The Fugitive? I mean, it's a classic movie. It's one of Harrison Ford's best movies. It's my favorite Harrison Ford film. But The Fugitive's great. Number 33 is a newer film, but it's easily had to be on there, Get Out. My favorite film of 2017. I mean, Get Out is one of those films that became a huge hit. And I was also a really big fan of Us that Jordan Peele also directed. But I say this is still my favorite film out of the two movies. Love Get Out. Number 32. Total Recall. A classic movie with Arnold. Just a fantastic action movie. What more can I say about Total Recall? I'm going to cut for part 6 right here. We have one more of this part left to go, then I'll cut for part 6 here. Number 31. Spaceballs. Easily one of my personal favorite comedies. I think this film is hilarious. Mel Brooks, John Candy, Bill Pullman, Rick Moranis, Daphne Zuniga, Joan Rivers, Dick Van Patten. Also directed by Mel Brooks. Just a really clever movie. A big take on Star Wars and Star Trek and things like that. But easily one of my personal favorite comedies. Love Spaceballs. Okay, so I'm going to cut for part 6 here, and I'll see you guys in part 7.